All right, let's talk about Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, who, they had a game. For a second, it was competitive. Looked like they were going to get their first win of the season. Didn't quite work out. Bryce Young had some good plays in the first half that got them up. He had some bad plays that caused them to lead at a certain point. So we'll talk about it all. The good and the bad of Bryce Young here. So starting off with the play you see on the screen, this is kind of what I thought Bryce Young really, I feel like all year has been pretty good at. It's just these sort of simple plays, the running the offense plays. You have Adam Thielen running over the middle, who honestly has been a, real good get for them. I think he's definitely been a nice addition. Maybe you don't want him as your number one option, but he's done a good job as what they've asked of him. He's been able to deliver. But watch how Young takes the snap. He runs a play action, looks towards Thielen. I mean, that's where he was going all the way, and Thielen gets wide open. So, okay, not exactly a difficult throw, but again, got to hit the layups. Before you can start making splash plays, you got to do the simple stuff. And I think Young's done a pretty good job at doing the simple stuff, in my opinion, for the most part. Not perfect, but definitely he's done a decent job at least. As you see here, perfect throw to not just hit Thielen, but allow Thielen to run after the catch. That really helps, and they're able to pick up a decent gain there. So, doing this stuff, obviously the 97-yard touchdown interception, that's going to certainly help. As in, if you miss the game, Kirk Cousins had one of those, so that put 7 on the board. But this stuff was also able to help allow the Panthers to move the ball somewhat. This play was weird. This was just a weird play. I don't know exactly what was going on here with Young. I'm not sure exactly what he was trying to do. It looks to be sort of an RPO. I think that's what's supposed to happen. And you have a receiver who's going to run a route and then turn his head around and you hit him. Watch as Young kind of lately pulls the ball back, which kind of forces him to be now in a situation where you can't just throw it the way you typically want. On top of this, the receiver does not have his head turned around. As you see, Young, makes that throw and it goes nowhere. I don't know if that's on Young or what the situation is there. Maybe you'd like to see the receiver have his head turned around earlier. I really don't know, but just weird timing on that play in general. You could argue that's coaching for sure. Just in general, just a tough situation there for Carolina. But I want to go over here because I really do feel like I've seen Bryce Young make some good plays. Again, I know people are kind of, bashing him. I've heard people say he's a bust already, which, listen, did you see how bad Trevor Lawrence played in his first season? Doesn't necessarily mean it's optimistic that he's playing poorly. Obviously, you'd like to see him play well, but call him a bust already would be silly, in my opinion. But watch how when Young takes the snap, he is going to, doesn't love what he sees right away. And with the pressure coming, he's able to actually get outside the pocket, and now he can move. There was a hold, but again, that's not Bryce Young's fault. So, okay, outside the pocket, going to try and see if he can find something. And as you see, he is going to make a really accurate throw off balance to a admittedly wide open player. So it's not like it was a tough window to fit it through or anything like that. More so just the ability to extend a play and to make a throw on the run. These are the kind of things that we talked about with Bryce Young coming out of college as a real benefit. And we have seen that. We've seen all the benefits of Bryce Young we have seen. We've seen why he was drafted first overall. We've seen him be able to run the offense at times very well. We've seen him be able to extend plays. Unfortunately for him, oftentimes he kind of has to do everything. Like this play, 3rd down and 8 here. Okay, important play to hopefully be able to, again, you're up 6 points at this point, but a big way to maintain a lead is to keep driving the football. A lot of people blame the defense after a blown lead, but oftentimes it's just as much on the offense not being able to score and not being able to keep the defense off the field. So for this play, Bryce Young's going to take the snap. He's going to look down the field, and you see that the 4 eligible receivers who are running routes on this play that you can see on the screen, none of them are open. So for Young on this 3rd down and 8, well, what do? Well, he's going to try and scramble up a little. Watch, he moves up, and again, at this point, is there a potential way that you could flip it to a receiver that's running down the field? It's hard. That's a tough play to do. I think ideally maybe you want to try and see if you can do it, I guess, but at the same time, I don't know, because you don't want to throw an interception here either, because your defense has been playing well. I think probably, throwing the football away might not be the worst move. Watch as Young basically tries to juke out a couple of defenders and ends up getting clobbered and losing the football. That is not good. That is not what you want to see have happen there. So definitely, got to protect yourself better if you're Young. But it's also for Carolina, you got to get guys open. You got to get him in positions where he doesn't have to feel like he can do this because he can just throw the football. Like this play is a great example of that as well, where what Minnesota is doing is they're showing cover zero, where they're just going to, showing all out blitz, trying to send pressure for Young. So if you have a matchup you like, you can just throw it up. But like, who do you really trust to win one-on-one like this? Even Adam Thielen, who I think has played well this year. I don't know if you're like, yes, definitely just throw one up down the field to Adam Thielen and he'll make it work. Watch as you're going to see pressure comes. Young actually steps up, moves around the pressure. Eventually, defenders are here, and he kind of runs into his own offensive lineman, so that's not ideal. But he kept his head down the field, was able to make a throw, and they're still able to pick up a first down on that play. So even with all of the kind of chaos that went on there with Bryce Young, he was still able to, find a way to get a completion there. Now, again, what you would kind of like to see is him get rid of the football early, and maybe you could argue that's a criticism of him. Hey, cover zero, got to just throw one up. The other aspect, though, is like you don't have a one-on-one matchup that Bryce Young likes there. And this is kind of why, again, obviously they had to get rid of DJ Moore to get Bryce Young. Like there wasn't a scenario where they keep both of those. I don't think, I think the Bears, the reason why they wanted to make that trade from the Panthers was to get a number one wide receiver for Fields, who at the time they were feeling like was their franchise quarterback. But having a number one wide receiver, there's no getting around it. It would just help you in situations like this. Like this is another one where it's going to be, once again, be cover zero, second down and 17. So again, cover zero, what should you do? In theory, you should be getting rid of the football quickly as there's more players who are going to be rushing the passer than there are blockers. Bryce Young takes a snap and doesn't really do this. At this point, I know it's really early into the play, but given the situation, this is kind of what you have. This is kind of the time that you have in this situation. You got to be making moves faster. Young, I think kind of, one of the things that young players do, no pun intended with his name being Young, one of the things that young players do is sometimes think that they can get away with more than they can actually get away with. In this spot at the NFL level, you're pretty much screwed. You can try to make something happen, but if you do, make sure you keep two hands on the football. And as you see, Young might have even had two hands on the football. I couldn't really tell, but he ends up losing the ball regardless. Got to make sure you protect that better. Ends up getting scooped and scored. So the Vikings were able to get a touchdown. That shifted the entire game right there. You went from being up 4 minutes left in the third quarter to now being down, and then Kirk Cousins finally kind of started getting going at that point forward, and you couldn't do anything after that. So while there's things to like, at the end of the day, there's definitely things to criticize as well, and just things he has to learn. And definitely, listen, it's always nice when a rookie quarterback comes in and just looks awesome right away. It does happen, and when it happens, it's great. It doesn't always happen, though. In fact, it usually doesn't happen. Most good quarterbacks have bad rookie seasons. It is what it is, and we're seeing that now with Bryce Young. So a lot of things he has to work on. I think that, giving up on him now would obviously be silly. Is a little disappointing, though, because he was kind of talked about as, one of the benefits of Bryce Young was how NFL ready he is. Well, so far has not been overly NFL ready, at least that's how it appears. So yeah, definitely disappointing, but we'll see how, we'll see where it goes from here. Those are my thoughts on Bryce Young. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.